On August 3rd, 2024, at around 4:30 a.m. in South Salt Lake, Utah, Salt Lake County Sheriff's deputies would receive a distressing 911 call claiming reports of gunfire. Deputies could hear screaming, yelling, and even crying and going on in the background. Upon arrival at the trailhead, deputies would find 18-year-old Naod Welday dead from multiple fatal gunshot wounds. Further investigation into Welday and his friends, who were also severely injured, would reveal that the attackers were from a notorious California street and prison gang known as Florencia 13.
Salt Lake County teen was shot and killed near a hiking trail over the weekend. And right now, deputies are asking for any help in finding the person responsible.
News specialist Brianna Chavez just spoke to the Salt Lake County Sheriff about this case. She joins us now live with what we know so far. Brianna?
Yeah, Mike and Ashley, Sheriff Rosie Rivera says that it all happened here at the parking lot of the Mount Olympus Trailhead. Deputies got reports of gunshots in this area just after 4:30 on Saturday morning. And when deputies arrived, they say that they found a dead man in a car with gunshot wounds. The sheriff's office has identified the victim as 18-year-old Naod Welday of Mill Creek. The sheriff said that an autopsy was underway to determine just how many gunshot wounds he actually suffered. All she could say was that he did suffer multiple gunshot wounds. Sheriff Rivera said that she has seen cases like this in the past that were targeted attacks, but she could not confirm if this was the case, in this shooting.
Right now, we just don't know if it was a targeted or if it was random. It's very unfortunate, and it does raise concern, because we do have a lot of community members that use that trail.
And the trail is open tonight. Sheriff Rivera does believe that this area is safe. She cannot go into other details or other specifics, I should say, on this case, but she says that detectives are working on following up with leads in this case. Again, she just says that they still need the community's help in this, that they're trying to do their very best to find out who is responsible for the death of this teen. Anyone that maybe saw or heard anything suspicious, again, on Saturday morning, is asked to call the sheriff's office at 801-840-4000. For Live at 5, I'm Brianna Chavez.
Today on a deadly shooting in the Mount Olympus Trailhead area. Police have arrested 2 people and they're still looking for 2 others.
Now, this happened on August 3rd, about 4:30 in the morning. Salt Lake County deputies found 18-year-old Naod Welday dead. Now, after being shot multiple times, the sheriff's office now says a 15-year-old boy and a 20-year-old named Mateo Martinez have been arrested and are facing homicide charges. They add both are documented gang members. They also stress the victim had no affiliation with any gangs. Investigators are still searching for 2 other suspects in connection to this shooting.
I had gunshots and police running through my yard at 4 a.m. after this happened.
Eric Kerr lives across the Mount Olympus Trailhead. Early in the morning on August 3rd, police say 18-year-old Naod Welday was shot and killed and 2 others were assaulted in the parking lot. On Monday night, SWAT teams with the Salt Lake County Sheriff's Office arrested 20-year-old Mateo Martinez and an unidentified 15-year-old. Sheriff Rosie Rivera says the 2 will face homicide charges.
These are violent individuals. They belong to a violent gang, known gang here in Salt Lake County.
But the Salt Lake County Sheriff's Office believes the victims had no ties to any gang and that this was random.
We do not believe they are gang involved at all. They were just probably in the wrong place at the wrong time, and it was just very unfortunate and very tragic.
When I spoke with people at the trailhead and told them what happened, there was a lot of shock.
Kind of an unusual experience, kind of surprising, typically very safe.
At Tuesday's Salt Lake County Council meeting, Eric says more needs to be done to protect that area.
Since the parking lot has gone in, we've seen an increase in shenanigans and gang activity. A lot of youth gathering late at night till early in the morning.
Now, there was another gang-related arrest in Salt Lake City Monday night by the Salt Lake City Police Department's gang unit. A 19-year-old taken into custody after a shooting Saturday night that injured a 55-year-old woman.
We do recognize that type of activity does happen in our community, and we're grateful again to have our gang unit to stay connected, to stay involved in what's going on in our community and provide that extra resource to our other detectives and our other officers.
Sheriff Rosie Rivera says there is an alarming trend when it comes to gang activity across the county and state.
We're finding out that there's more juveniles involved, and that is what's concerning.
Trying to get families involved to help prevent gang violence.
Many times you can tell, by their clothing, or they've got a new tattoo, or really we identify them because they tell us they're part of a gang. So if your child is telling you they're part of a gang, you probably want to get more involved.
At the Mount Olympus Trailhead, I am Maithili Gubi, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Thank you very much. Some other news we want you to be aware of this evening. Police arrested 2 suspected gang members in connection with the deadly shooting that claimed the life of an 18-year-old at the Mount Olympus Trailhead earlier this month.
Our Annika Johns joins us live from the Mount Olympus Trailhead tonight with a look at gang-related crimes seen across the Salt Lake Valley. And Annika, what have you learned so far?
Yeah, Brian. So the arrest for the crimes that took place here at the Mount Olympus Trail, where I'm currently at, happened to be on the same day that Salt Lake PD arrested another individual in connection to another gang-related incident that took place in a Glendale neighborhood. Now, just like I mentioned, both of these cases, while completely investigated by completely different departments, have both been labeled by officials as gang-related instances. Mount Olympus is a popular hiking trail just outside of Salt Lake City. During most hours of the day, someone is on the trail or in the parking lot, which overlooks the Salt Lake Valley. And that's where, police say, on August 3rd, a group of 3 people were inside a car when 20-year-old Mateo Martinez and a 15-year-old male walked up to the vehicle before shooting at the people inside, killing one.
They were just probably in the wrong place at the wrong time.
On Tuesday, the Salt Lake County Sheriff's Office announced the arrest of both men, saying they are documented gang members.
These are violent individuals. They belong to a violent gang, known gang here in Salt Lake County.
This crime occurred less than a week before the Salt Lake City Police Department was called about a shooting in the Glendale neighborhood, which they believe was also gang-related.
At least one bullet had gone through a home in that area that actually struck a 55-year-old woman. We also requested the help of our Salt Lake City Police Department's gang unit, who is actually leading the investigation.
While these crimes seemingly have no connection, I spoke to both departments today about the recent activity and what this means for those living in the area.
At the time of this, it was about 4:20 a.m. And what we would suggest is, for our communities, if you are going to be in dark parking lots, they're not well lit at that time of hour, just go somewhere else.
When crime is happening in their neighborhood, they may feel like crime is up 1,000%. Crime is down 5% over the 3-year average and 12% over the 3-year average when it comes to overall crime in Salt Lake City.
Both departments heavily emphasize saying, if you see something, say something.
Our community is our best set of eyes and ears. They're seeing things that we may not be able to see or get to quick enough. And so we want to make sure that we're utilizing all of our resources, so our detectives and our community, when we're trying to solve these investigations.
And if you have a teenager, to keep an eye on them.
We're finding out that there's more juveniles involved, and that is what's concerning.
Now, both the Sheriff's Office and Salt Lake City PD are continuing their investigations on both incidences. And so they're telling me that if anybody has any information, that they're asking for you to come forward and relate to any of that information. That's the incident that took place here at Mount Olympus and the one that took place in that Glendale neighborhood. They said to just contact the appropriate authorities. Reporting live from the Mount Olympus Trailhead, Annika Johns, ABC4 News.
It's an everyday thing that we're dealing with, nonstop.
From one shooting in downtown Salt Lake City on August 10th to another at the Mount Olympus Trailhead on August 3rd, there have been several gang-related incidents across the valley lately. Sheriff Rosie Rivera says much of it is being carried out by minors.
We're dealing with a lot of juveniles who are being recruited by adults.
During a House subcommittee meeting Monday morning, Representative Ryan Wilcox discussed a new bill that would hold these adults accountable.
We all make bad choices, especially when we're children, when we're kids, and trying to go through that part of life. And in order to gain acceptance, either into an organization or frankly just to make friends sometimes, kids are really susceptible to these suggestions and sometimes direct orders by people that they look up to.
Wilcox says the rise in gang violence, as well as more sophisticated crimes like theft rings, is something all Utahns should be concerned about.
We all live here. But none of us can predict when that's going to come to our door or when it's going to come to our car in the parking lot or our business.
Sheriff Rivera hopes this bill will keep more kids out of trouble and make our communities safer.
We can start saying that, people are being held accountable for recruiting these young kids into gang violence, and now they're being held accountable, that maybe that will prevent some of these kids from falling into, that recruitment area.
Representative Wilcox plans to introduce this bill during the 2025 session. In Salt Lake City, Jenna Bree, Fox 13 News, Utah.
New developments tonight. A third suspect has been arrested in connection to a deadly shooting at the Mount Olympus Trailhead a couple of weeks ago. The shooting left an 18-year-old dead. In this new arrest, the Salt Lake County Sheriff's Office says 19-year-old Alexander Ruiz-Martinez is a documented gang member and now faces homicide charges. Deputies already arrested two men earlier this week, a 15-year-old and 20-year-old Mateo Martinez. The Sheriff's Office both said both of them are documented gang members too. They also believe there is still one more person who was involved. We broke this news late this morning. You can read more on the arrest.
What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of Green Lake Gang TV. Much love, much appreciation. Thank you guys so much for checking out the channel today. Really appreciate all the love, all the support. Always trying to change things up, bring you guys different content, trying to be more, consistent. Always trying to be consistent. I think that's the key to life, is consistency and sobriety, but consistency is key. Some of these places, though, I just did another story on Yakima, Washington. I've covered California, obviously, multiple times. I've gone to Texas multiple times. It's just because some of these gangs have roots in some of these states and some of these cities and counties that you just can't ignore. But I do try to change it up. Today we're going to Utah with it. We're going to be covering a Mount Olympus shooting. The gang that is at the center of this, I've done multiple videos on. That's Florencia 13. I would say Florencia 13, and I know I'm going to get some pushback on this, just from what I've read, the videos I've done, some of their history, I would put them up there in one of the top one or two most powerful and most well-known Sureño gang sets. Something about them, they just seem to stand out kind of head and shoulders above other Sureño sets. For whatever reason. They've been around a really long time too. Just to give you a brief history, I'm sure some of you already know this, but the Florencia 13, also known as Southside Florencia 13, Florence Gang F13, is an American criminal street gang based in Los Angeles, California. Composed mainly of Hispanic Americans, the gang is named after the Florence area of Los Angeles County and is controlled by the Mexican Mafia. They are involved in drug smuggling, murder, assault, and robbery. All right? Been around a long, long time. Created, anywhere from the 50s to 60s. They've been around a long time. They've been involved in a lot of high-profile murders and crimes. Go look at my catalog. I've covered a couple of those very high-profile crimes. And actually, just about 6 months ago in California, they did a major takedown where they arrested multiple leaders and members of Florencia 13. They're super active. They've always got things going on. They're always up to something, and they just never seem to be slowing down. So really quick, some of their allies are the Mexican Mafia, Pueblo Bishop Bloods, Mad Swan Bloods, Harvard Park Brims, East Coast Crips, some of their rivals, and they got a lot of them. 18th Street Gang, 38th Street Gang, Grape Street Watts Crips, Watts Barrio Grape Street, Hot Gang Watts Crips, Huntington Park Locos, Playboys Eastside 13, South Los 13, and just Bloods in general. So they're just one of those gangs that it's kind of like, if you're with them, you love it. But if you're not, you're kind of like, ugh, you want to get at them however you can. But this brings us to Utah and Salt Lake County and Salt Lake City, Utah, which is probably the last place a lot of people are going to, when I think Utah, I think like Mormonism. You think, I'm a sports guy, so I think like BYU, which relates to Mormonism. But you don't think a Hispanic gang that is terrorizing a city. But that's exactly what's been going on. This case is really recent. This is let's just say 6-7 months ago. Took place in August of 2024. But there has been a very much of an uptick with criminal street gang activity, and Florencia 13 is at the heart of it. In this case, again, where it seems like Florencia 13 is involved in a lot of these cases that hit home and really bring a lot of outrage from the public. This is another one of those. So Naod, and I know I'm going to say the name horrible, but Naod Welday, he's from a country in East Africa called Eritrea. He was born on June 26, 2006, and he was gunned down August 3rd, 2024, and that he is young, man. When you see something like that, if you're born in the 2000s, you're young. And I'm just kind of reading from his obituary here. It says, Naod Welday unexpectedly passed away August 3rd, 2024 in Mill Creek, Utah. He was born in Eritrea, June 26, 2006, to his parents, Daniel Welday, Welday Slias, and Fiore Tesfaye Giddy. A graveside service will be held August 10th, 2024 at 3 p.m. at the Elysian Gardens Cemetery in Mill Creek, Utah. Now, reading from this. So this case, Naod Welday makes a 911 call at 4:30 a.m., and it is a pretty horrific 911 call. You can hear gunfire, you can hear screaming, you can hear crying. They are being attacked, him and his friends. And it's Florencia 13 is at the heart of this. So we're going to read. Like I said, you got to dig deep on some of this stuff to really find the real information, just more specifics. You can kind of get an outline on some of the main news channels, but you really got to dig into the court paperwork to get really specific stuff, like the make of the car Naod and his friends were driving. This was difficult because there's no pictures of the assailants, and then 2 out of the 4 are juveniles. Now, I was able to find pictures of Naod because he was the only one killed. But as far as his friends that were involved, they're just using initials for this. So that's kind of what you're hearing me use when I read through this. So this article was from about 20 days after the killing, which is when charges were filed initially against 2 of the men. That's one of the adults and one of the juveniles. Now, the youngest juvenile that was charged with murder in this case was only 15 years old, and he was a active Florencia 13 gang member. So here we go. Salt Lake City, Utah, August 23rd, 2024, from the Geffart Daily. The Salt Lake District Attorney's Office has filed charges against 2 men and 1 juvenile male allegedly involved in the fatal shooting of 18-year-old Naod Welday at the Mount Olympus Trailhead on August 3rd. Now, really quick, just really, really quick. Initially, and I'm really glad I caught it before I almost wrapped up some of my video. Initially, it was 3 people that were charged for like 2 months. Finally, they did get a 4th in October of 2024. We'll talk about that kind of towards the end. But initially, it's 2 full-grown men and then a juvenile, all right? Charged, and these are just the adults' names, Mateo Martinez and Alex Ruiz-Martinez, and the juvenile, whose name is being withheld to his status as a minor. According to a news release, all right, from the Salt Lake County DA's office, police were alerted at 4:23 a.m. on August 3rd when Welday called emergency dispatch. When Salt Lake County deputies arrived at the scene, they found a male, Welday, deceased in the driver's seat of a Hyundai. They found AA, remember these are the initials of his friends, a mile north of the scene with injuries to his face. AA told deputies that he, Welday, another friend HT, and a 4th male they had met in the parking lot were talking outside the Hyundai when 2 males approached them. So you got Welday, 2 friends, and then they meet a guy, in the parking lot. And now this trailhead, this Mount Olympus, is very, very popular. It's very, very active. And then you see in that one video that the news clip where you got basically one of the residents, how he's complaining. And, at first glance, you're going, it's just an old white guy complaining. But no, if you live in that area, he says you put this parking lot in, and now you've got gang activity. You've got people, all hours of the night doing all kinds of stuff, which on its surface is nothing. But then when something like this happens, you go, okay, this guy's not just an old man yelling, get off my lawn. There's something to what he's saying, all right? So A tells deputies that he, Welday, another friend, HT, and the 4th male they met were just talking. 2 males approach, asking if they're gang affiliated. And that's some stuff that's going to happen in Cali. That I guarantee you, the teens, the kids, the young adults from this area in Utah are not used to that. Teens, young adults, kids, unfortunately, in certain areas in California, actually a lot of areas in California, they are used to this. They know what to expect. Well, they don't know how to handle these situations. In Salt Lake County, Utah, at the base of a mountain where everyone's hanging out, hiking, just kicking back. When the victims told the two males they were not, one of the suspects hits AA, who, I mean, honestly, he did the smart thing. He runs immediately. He ran away and hid. Two cars immediately start driving around as if they were looking for AA and hiding. AA calls HT and tells him to get in the car with Welday and lock the doors because AA had the car keys with him. While Welday and victim HT were locked in the Hyundai, which I feel like is like a death sentence. I feel like that's the one thing you shouldn't have done because you just you lock yourself in. Now you're at the mercy. I mean, you're at the mercy. I don't, just feel like get out of it. Just run. Get out of there. It's dark. It's 4:30 a.m. Get out of there. I feel like if you lock yourself in a car, and there's two cars driving around, you've kind of cut yourself off at the knees. You're not a lot of places you can go. While Welday and victim HT were locked in the Hyundai, 4 males who had been in the cars looking for AA forced their way into the locked vehicle by breaking the windows, of course. In Welday's 911 call, this is a very sad 911 call, audio was captured of the 4 suspects pounding on the windows and breaking them, with the victims screaming and crying as they are attacked. In the 911 call, multiple gunshots can be heard. Welday was in the driver's seat of the car and was shot and killed, while HT, who had been in the passenger seat, was hit in the head with a hammer but was able to escape. During the investigation into the incident, detectives found a palm print on one of the windows of the victim's car. That print matched AV, a juvenile and known Florencia 13 gang member. Investigators also found a Toronto Blue Jays hat at the scene of the shooting. While the victims said that was not any of their hats, detectives found an image of a Florencia 13 gang member, Mateo Martinez, wearing an identical hat. A warrant served on Mateo's phone found it was the location of the homicide at the time it happened. In addition, investigators found a message sent at 4:20 a.m. from Alex Ruiz-Martinez, another documented F-13 gang member, to Mateo that read, "Yo, hurry up, come to the view." Detectives believed that the text was sent because Mateo had been in one of the cars looking for AA and Alex was trying to get to the group to return to the trailhead. Cell phone data showed that Ruiz-Martinez had initially arrived at the trailhead at around 4:05 a.m., the statement says. Mateo Martinez was charged today with murder. Remember, this is August 23rd, 2024, so this is exactly 20 days after the initial incident. He's charged with murder, a first-degree felony, 2 counts of first-degree felony aggravated kidnapping, a first-degree felony, 2 counts of felony discharge of a firearm or seriously bodily injury, also a first-degree felony aggravated assault, which is a Class A misdemeanor, and that aggravated assault is a second-degree felony. Alex Ruiz-Martinez was charged with a murder, a first-degree felony, 2 counts of first-degree felony aggravated kidnapping, a first-degree felony, 2 counts of felony discharge of a firearm or seriously bodily injury, also a first-degree felony aggravated assault, a second-degree felony, felony possession of a firearm by a restricted person, failure to respond to an officer's signal to stop, a third-degree felony, and assault, a Class A misdemeanor. The juvenile suspect, identified as AV, faces undisclosed charges in court. Eventually, I think they did up him to he was charged as an adult. And same thing, murder, aggravated kidnapping. Utah's kind of one of those states where they don't like this stuff happening. No state likes this stuff happening, but unfortunately what you see with like California and some of these places where this stuff happens more often, they go light on these guys. They really, really do. Somewhere like Utah, you just pissed off a lot of people. You just pissed off a lot of people because this stuff does not happen. And again, I'm not saying that they don't piss people off and that people in the community, they put up with this anymore. I'm just saying, unfortunately, when things happen on the daily basis, when gang life and gang culture is ingrained in a community, things become more acceptable and almost become a way of life. Whereas when a place like Salt Lake County, Utah, who is not used to this, something as tragic and as vicious as this happens, they're going to absolutely drop the hammer on these guys. It just kind of is what it is. So they get charged. Now, Mateo Martinez and a 15-year-old juvenile, they were first arrested on August 13th, 2024. Then August 13th, 24. And then Alex Ruiz-Martinez, he's arrested 3 days later on October 16th, 2024. Now, that fourth suspect, the seventh, now, because that's what's interesting, is that articles from August 23rd, 2024, and it talks about how there were 4 assailants, but for whatever reason, initially, they were really only going after 3. But A couple months pass, and October 18th, 2024, a 17-year-old unnamed suspect was arrested and charged with kidnapping and murder, okay? Mateo Martinez, Alex Ruiz-Martinez, and a Juvenile, they are known documented F-13 gang members, okay? Detectives did a pretty good job on this too. It's pretty cut and dry the way that they did this. They're able to get the warrant for the phone. When you have enough resources, when you're not overwhelmed with gang and crime and stuff, you're going to be able to quickly, kind of circle off. These are our known gang members. These are the guys we got to keep an eye on, because they were able to pretty much quickly identify through a hat and said through an image. So I'm going to assume that was a social media image with with wearing the Toronto Blue Jay hat. Florencia 13. And what stands out to me about this is, one, the gang has spread and has roots. They're heading east. You've got California locked up. They've got positions, I'm sure, all up along the West Coast. I'm sure Oregon, Washington. Now you're going along, right? Now you're getting Utah. Now you're getting almost into like the, Midwest. You're going east. And like I said, Florencia 13 is a huge, huge Sorreño set. So then reading further into this, I found even more information, all right? So it talks about how HT, who had ran, now this is what I like about some of these, court paperwork is I can even get more and more for you guys, so I'm not just giving you like surface level stuff. This is from the actual court paperwork from basically the charging from Sam Gill, the district attorney for the Salt Lake County, the 3rd District Court. It lists the charges, but then it goes into actually, what happened. The detectives or deputies, they arrived on scene, all right, at 4:34 a.m., all right? And that's when they find Welday's body, all right? And he was in the driver's seat of the sedan, like we talked about. But reading through this again, deputies located HT. He had ran west across I-215 to seek help. HT had a visible wound to his head. HT stated he was hanging out with AANW at the Mount Olympus Trailhead parking lot. That's when they were approached. Remember, HT is the one who got hit in the head with the hammer, all right? And this is what I talk about, how I like to read more stuff to you guys. So at first, it's talking about how they just asked him if they banged. Well, no, they also asked him. It says they were approached by the two males. These two males also asked them if they represented, quote, 500, and asked AA what his Instagram handle was. HT stated that one of the males punched AA, and AA ran off. So that's something we didn't know about in even the first one I read. HT said 2 cars left. One was white and one was black, and were gone for about 5 minutes. The males came back a short time later in the same 2 vehicles. See, that's also what we didn't read in that first one. This is why I like doing this for you guys. HT stated that he and NW were standing outside AA's vehicle as the 2 cars drove past them. One of the suspects called through an open window asking, "Do you guys bang?" See, so that's where it gets. So initially they were asked, do they represent 500? The only thing I don't understand is if your friend gets punched and he runs off, and then they leave for 5 minutes, why didn't all of you leave? Because it said AA was the one that hid in the bushes. He's the one that said he ran away. He went and hid. This is saying it drove off. They're probably driving off, like it stated in the first article. Driving off means they're going to look for AA. So I guess obviously why you can't leave. But if there's text going on where AA is saying, hey, get in the car and lock it, it's too bad that AA didn't just run back to the car, hop in it, and they could have got out of there. Because if you can get the car started, you can get the hell out of there. So then they but then they drive through. So they're driving around looking for AA, but then they drive back, ask them, because it says Welday, HT, were just standing there, and they ask them, do they bang, even after AA got punched. The suspect's cars parked north of them, and multiple males of Hispanic, black, and mixed race started walking towards them. HT stated that he and NW got back in AA's car and locked the doors. And that's Naod Welday's in the driver's seat. They say the two suspects approached the driver's side where NW was sitting, while two other suspects approached the passenger side. So that's where you get the 4. HT was sitting. The males began banging on the car windows. That's when they talk about how, they're trying to break the windows. That's when the text comes through to AA. Warning, he called HT actually to warn them that the males were coming back. HT stated that he saw the rear driver's side passenger window shatter and a male reached in through the broken window and unlocked the door. The male opened the back door and got into the back seat behind NW. This male began punching NW and another male tried to get inside the car on the driver's side. HT stated that the males on the passenger side broke the window and HT pushed his car door open and pushed one of the males away. The other male on the passenger side then hit HT in the head with what he believed to be a hammer. HT stated that he stumbled and fell to the ground by the front of the car. HT stated that he saw the male preparing to hit him again with the hammer, so he rolled off the retaining wall to the roadway below. Wow. HT stated that he ran west, crossed the roadways, including I-215. HT stated that he had a large laceration to his head that required stitches and staples, as well as cuts on his knee and elbow. HT had lost his phone during his escape. That's insane. That's insane. Detectives further located another 911 call. During the call, muffled voices can be heard saying, "We don't do that," while there's a tapping sound and then glass breaking. 3 sounds are heard that detectives believe are gunshots, followed by a male's voice in a state of high distress and fear before the call goes silent. Man, during the search, they found 9mm shell casings. 2 of the casings were located on the ground near the driver's side door, and another was located behind the driver's side seat inside the vehicle. Detectives also located that Toronto Blue Jays ball cap with a sticker centered on the brim behind the front driver's side tire of AA's vehicle. A rock was located on the back seat. So that was what he got hit with. So they thought he got hit with, HT thought he got hit with a hammer. No, he got hit with a rock, which makes more sense. So they're just picking up stuff, maybe using the rock to break the window. He's going to hold on to it, and he's going to crack him over the head with it. But just that's the difference, man. HT, a little bit of instinct. He's watching. I mean, things are probably slowing down for him. He's watching his life maybe flash before him. If he doesn't, I got to make a decision. That's insane, man. That's absolutely insane. But there you guys have it. They hit the warrant. They basically, once all these leads come in, and they're able to locate, okay, these are the Florencia 13 gang members. And they were able to locate the photos of AV, the 15-year-old, with known Florencia 13 gang members, Mateo Martinez and Alex Ruiz-Martinez, flashing known gang signs that appeared to be taken near the Mount Olympus Trailhead prior to this incident. Oh, okay. Detectives located another video recording of Mateo, which was taken just a few days before the incident on July 29th, 2024, where he's wearing the exact same Toronto Blue Jays hat, bearing the similar color emblem and sticker on the brim as the one located at the homicide scene. Wow. And then they locate the message that we talked about, "Yo, hurry up, come to the view." That was from Alex to Mateo. And through prior investigations, believe Alex was calling the group back to the trailhead after they searched for A. Remember, A is the one that initially got out of there. He got punched and he ran and hid. And through prior investigations, detectives know that the view means the trailhead on Mount Olympus. Call detail recorded warrants were executed on known phone numbers belonging to Mateo and Alex. And talks about how just after that, Mateo was arrested as his residence in Murray, Utah. Yeah, man. And then talks about how when they were looking for, remember, Alex got arrested 3 days after Heriberto. Witnesses described one of Alex's vehicles as being white in color. Detectives know that Alex drove a white Honda Civic and began looking for that vehicle. They locate the vehicle, and anyway, he gets picked up not long after that during a traffic stop. He's with his mom. It said he was during a traffic stop with his mom, and Alex was a passenger. And he was found to be in possession of a firearm and possession of a cell phone with the same phone number detectives used to track his location during the time of the homicide. Oh, yeah, they're booked. Okay, sorry. I know I almost stopped a couple times in there. Just kept reading. It's crazy. You guys, much love, much appreciation. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm trying, guys. I'm trying to crank them out. Until next time, y'all, you know what it is. Peace.